In 2019, the Minnesota Vikings had the 14th ranked defense, but their saving grace was that they were 5th in scoring. So they were a bend but don't break defense. However, after the free agency and after this past draft, I believe the Minnesota Vikings have the tools necessary to be a top 5 defense in the league in the 2020 season. We're going to start first with the defensive line. Danielle Hunter may be our best player. Nothing to really talk about here. This man is basically the real-life version of the Incredible Hulk. He's going to get his, whether he plays the left or the right side, doesn't matter. Ifeadi Odenigbo last year, 2019, in a rotational role, mind you, 7 sacks, 7 TFLs, 13 QB hits. I believe that this man is going to flourish as a full-time edge rusher. Then you get to Michael Pierce at nose tackle. Last year, Linval Joseph couldn't quite get that push up the middle that we were so accustomed to seeing. Now you've gone 4 years younger with Michael Pierce, and I expect Pierce to make life a whole lot easier for the 3 tech up against the passer, and conversely, life a whole lot more difficult for the opposing running back trying to navigate his way in the middle of the field. Then you go to the 3 tech. That remains to be seen as far as who the starting 3 tech is going to be. Assuming we add nobody else, I would like to see James Lynch take that role. This dude can absolutely rush the passer. You see that in his game film at Baylor. However, if you really, really want to go hard, Everson Griffin is still out there. If they decide, now I've been of the mindset we don't really need Everson Griffin to return, but if the Vikings decide to bring him back, you could have Everson Griffin play opposite edge rusher of Danielle Hunter, and then Ifeadi Odenigbo, I talked about him earlier. He has experience playing defensive tackle. You can move him inside. The point is, the Minnesota Vikings have options on the defensive line. The defensive line is going to be so much better, much more than just the outside pillars where we can get the edge rush on the outside. The inside is going to be much better. Now we're going to move to linebackers. Eric Kendricks, maybe the NFL's best kept secret, and of course, prototypically what you like to see from a middle linebacker: stopping the run, surefire tackler. Eric Kendricks, he certainly gives you that. However, the pass coverage. For a linebacker to move so fluidly in pass coverage, almost like a cornerback, and I'm talking about light on his feet, the footwork, the ability, the way he moves his hips, the way he switches his hips back and forth, the way he extends his body to make plays on the football is absolutely insane. I don't think I've ever seen, I don't even think this is hyperbole at all. I'm doing the best I can to think as hard as I can. I don't think I've ever seen a linebacker all time have pass coverage skills like this. Never. If you can think of one, let me know in the comments section below. Eric Wilson probably, ideally, is going to be the 3rd linebacker in the base 4-3 set. And honestly, whatever you get from Anthony Barr, that's an added bonus. And so last podcast, I talked about how Eric Wilson is just a flat-out better player than Anthony Barr. And, of course, there's pushback with that, 2 of which I found interesting. One of which, oh, my God, the lack of hurries with Eric Wilson. Anthony Barr has way more hurries than Eric Wilson does. Also, Eric Wilson, he struggles with missed tackles. So let's talk about that. First, let's look up the definition of a hurried stat defined by ProFootballReference.com. It's defined as a situation when the quarterback is forced to throw the ball earlier than intended or is chased around or out of the pocket as the result of defensive pressure. In other words, we're sitting here kissing ass for almost making plays. Think about that. Quarterbacks all across the league, they're used to moving around in the pocket. They're used to moving outside of the pocket. Doesn't mean you made a play. Okay, you forced an incompletion, or maybe the coverage breaks down and the quarterback finds the open man, or he scrambles and gets some positive yards. So let me ask you folks something out there. Which is more valuable? The money plays, a sack or a TFL, where you back the offense up a couple of yards, and the next play, the offense, assuming it's not 3rd down, the next play, the offense has more of a distance to go to get the 1st down, or an almost made play. Oh, well, we'll get them next time. If it's incomplete, guess what? The offense, they start back the next down at the spot they started at before, or maybe they get some positive yardage from the quarterback scrambling, or the coverage breaks down. Which is more valuable? We're really talking about hurried stats. In fact, when you look at the rate production or the production of play by Eric Wilson, if you give Eric Wilson Anthony Barr snap count, Eric Wilson has damn near double the tackles, damn near double the TFLs, more than double the quarterback hits, and damn near triple the sacks. But hey, listen, it's a free country. You have the right to your opinion. If you would much rather go with player A, in which the only two things that he's good at is making tackles and almost making plays, you can have him. I'm going to go with player B each and every time. And the second excuse that I found very interesting was that, oh my God, teams, they scheme for Anthony Barr. They game plan for Anthony Barr and the double teams he has to face him. Brr. Teams don't scheme for an Eric Wilson, in which, okay. First of all, I don't buy it just because for logistics. Look at the defensive line compared to the offensive line. Ideally, who's going to face double teams most of the day? The nose tackle. It's going to free up space for the three tech to go one-on-one. Okay, fine. Who's the next guy that's going to face double teams? Is it going to be Danielle Hunter or Anthony Barr? There's no question it's Danielle Hunter. So where are the double teams even coming from? Also, if I'm an offensive coordinator and I watch game film on Anthony Barr baseline can't even break off of a single blocker. Why would I waste more resources sending a double team, an extra blocker, over to Anthony Barr? That is just a complete mismanagement of resources. But okay, I'll bite. We'll play this game. Excuse me, but when you look at the other players on this team, Dalvin Cook, Stephon Diggs last year, Danielle Hunter, Eric Kendricks, Harrison Smith, you can throw Anthony Harris in this bag as well. What do they all have in common? Is that we know opposing teams pay extra close attention to those players. They game plan extra hard against those players. I think we can agree on that, right? Okay. The second thing that they have in common is that despite getting extra attention by opposing teams, they still produce. They still put up plays. They still put up numbers. Anthony Barr, you know what separates the good to great players is that the great players, they face double teams. They face extra game planning against all the fucking time. But guess what? They still put up numbers. Anthony Barr, he doesn't do shit, but it's okay because, oh, the other teams, they really game plan against Anthony Barr. Are you kidding me right now? The lengths that we are willing to go to defend this dude's weak-ass play on the football field is nothing short of amazing. Whatever it is that you get from Anthony Barr, so be it. We're going to move to cornerbacks, but first, this podcast is brought to you by Modest Brewing. If you're looking for a wide variety of brewskis, this is the place to go. They're available for both curbside pickup and contactless delivery. They can be reached at 612-454-0258 or at modestbrewing.com. All right, now we're going to get to the cornerbacks, in which I get that this is the biggest scare for Vikings fans. Rightfully so. I absolutely get it. But when you consider the Vikings invested heavily in cornerbacks in this past draft with Jeff Gladney, with Cam Dantzler, and with Harrison Hand. Jeff Gladney and Cam Dantzler, they're going to be fantastic. Harrison Hand, I don't think it would be fair to have lofty expectations for a Harrison Hand right out the gate. I think it's going to take some time for him to develop, but I know the saying goes, cornerbacks, they usually have a rough start as soon as they enter the league. I get all that, but we have a cheat code in Mike Zimmer. I question Mike Zimmer as a head coach. I do not question Mike Zimmer as a cornerbacks coach. And in fact, we have two recent examples of rookie cornerbacks joining the team and just starting out hot off the presses, both in the 2018 season. We'll start with Mike Hughes, who as soon as he stepped foot on the football field, he was lights out. Then he tore his ACL, in which case he was out for the rest of the year. But this is why we have to be fair with Mike Hughes. I don't think it's right to just go ahead and dismiss him after the terrible 2019 season he had. We all understand how bad it was. However, to tear your ACL and come back the following season to play cornerback is really, really hard to do for anybody. Now he's basically had a whole season and a half to recover. Let's see how he does in 2020. I think a fair assessment can be done based on how he plays this year. Take your choice. You can praise or crucify him after you see what he does, and I think that's how you can really measure how he is as an NFL caliber cornerback. And also Holton Hill, in which I struggle with this because between Holton Hill and Trey Waynes after Mike Hughes went down, you can make the argument that Holton Hill was the best cornerback on this roster for the 2018 season. He was that damn good. In fact, no one's denying that Holton Hill can play. We all understand that. The only beef that I've ever had with this dude was that after having such a fantastic rookie year, you follow that up by getting suspended for the first 8 games of your sophomore season. And I'm like, really, dude? So I couldn't trust him. I was damn near done, not even damn near. I was done with the dude because I can't trust him. I can't trust him right now, but as long as he's available to play and as long as he's allowed to play, he's going to be good. And I think you can have similar expectations for this rookie class for your 2020 Minnesota Vikings because of Mike Zimmer. I think he's going to have that big of an impact, that much of an effect on these cornerbacks, even though they're rookies. I know for any other cornerbacks, oh my God, it's going to be tough, but they have Mike Zimmer to coach them up. The cornerbacks, regardless of what happens, they're going to be a lot better than Xavier Rhodes. And yeah, Trey Waynes, he had a bad year. He was off and on. And Mackenzie Alexander, he was nice too. I think the cornerbacks are going to be tenfold. Well, tenfold, that's a little strong. That's a bit of a hot take. I take that back. The cornerbacks are going to be much better than what we saw last year. And to top it off, you have the best safety duo in the league. So let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. How do you see this defense being compared to last year where they were the 14th ranked defense? I've got them I say they have the tools to be a top 5 defense. We'll see how it plays out. But let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. You can also, if you want to win a $25 gift card to Modest Brewing, go ahead and tweet out your take based on how you think the Vikings defense is going to do in 2020. Go ahead and tweet out your take with the hashtag ModestTake. One person will be selected at random to win a $25 gift card to Modest Brewing. We do this at least once a week on Mondays. Mediocre at Best Sports Podcast with Realistic Randy. Check me out on Twitter at realistic_Randy. Facebook at Realistic Randy. We'll see you next time.